name is Nicole Kambu. I'm from Burkina Faso, West Africa.
I first met Nicole in a Sunday school class at First United Methodist Church, and I'd like to tell you that story. It's a story of how a little group of Arkansans became connected with a community in West Africa. I think it's a story about hope.
According to my parents, they said when I was 10 years old, I was saying that I want to be a nurse.
Nicole was born in 1968, a part of the Lobi tribe, a minority tribe in the southern part of Burkina Faso. Her part of the country has been neglected by the government for years, lacking many services we take for granted: water, healthcare, transportation. Burkina Faso is among the poorest countries in the world. This part of Burkina is one of the neediest in the country.
I wouldn't eat my breakfast. I will carry with me in school and share with other children.
In 1987, Nicole's mother died during childbirth. And losing her mother seemed to focus Nicole in a new way.
I just think of those children in the street, and I said I need to do something for them. I cannot give them all the love, but at least I can probably make their life better. Because when I go to bed, I always have this feeling of doing something for the orphans.
The orphans she's talking about? Street children. Kids whose parents are victims of AIDS, kids whose families have been slaughtered in the Civil War in neighboring Ivory Coast. She began a program of helping these children. For 9 years, she struggled to get her organization officially recognized by the government. And in 1996, the training and education program for orphan children was officially recognized. During those years, the children she shepherded swelled from 187 to 500. This is Catherine Matchett, a former Peace Corps staffer.
I first met her in 1997 when I was working in Burkina Faso as a training director for Peace Corps. And Nicole was on the staff. She was a language teacher. She speaks more than 10 languages. I got to know her there and knew about this program that she had started for orphans in her community.
Now, when you and I think of a group of orphans, we think of an orphanage. Nicole doesn't have an orphanage. She doesn't have an annual budget. She places children with families who will take them. She asked her father to take 10.
I owe my dad a lot for that because he did not say no. He said, okay, no problem, I can deal with that. Whatever you will eat, they will eat too.
She selected April 1st to be the Day of the Orphans. She and her brother Urbain went office to office, soliciting donations for food.
We just go up and try to go from office to office in the marketplaces and ask people to make donations so we can cook food for the orphans. And whatever...
Once a year?
Once a year, April 1st.
Did that money last you for the whole year?
No, because when you buy, it's even not enough. It was never enough. People think sometimes I'm crazy doing things like that, but it hurt me when I think I have a car, I'm eating well and lay down and sleep, and those children, I don't mind, I love having better life, but at the same time, I wanted to balance it. You know, being able to provide at least food to somebody who is hungry is much important to me.
In 2001, Nicole came to America to see if any doors might open for her. Here's Catherine again.
So Nicole enrolled at a school in Oklahoma to study nursing and came to visit me in Little Rock one weekend, and I was supposed to be leading the Sunday school class. Instead, she talked to the Genesis class, and everyone just fell in love with her. And she wasn't asking for help of any sort, but she was just telling her story and told about the orphan program. And immediately people said, how can we help? We want to be involved.
So we're asking, how much to feed a kid or how much to send a kid to school? But it was clear that there were more basic needs to be addressed.
The community didn't have potable drinking water, and the women and girls walked for miles several times a day to transport water.
Catherine had been having an annual African dinner, dancing, drumming, potluck dinner at her home, which had been growing a little each year.
So we had the idea that we could make that a larger event and make it a fundraiser, and the money could go toward the orphan program. So we had it at the church, and 300 people showed up and donated money, and we were able to raise money to build a very nice water pump.
The pump has a life expectancy of years and years, has minimal moving parts, it's easy to repair, and best of all, the entire community benefits. Surrounding villages gather at the pump. There's a trough to catch excess runoff and hold it for the animals to drink.
So the next year, we again asked what were their biggest needs, and one of the needs was to rebuild their school that was collapsing. Well, we had the fundraiser again, raised the money, and hired a company and rebuilt the school.
So by now the fundraiser's growing, and the original organizers found they needed help. And it came. The rest of First United Methodist Church stepped in, and Hoover United Methodist, and Wesley Chapel, and many other volunteers. Today, the annual African Dinner is a community-wide event with attendance between 300 and 500 people. Hoover Senior Pastor Reverend Robinson says that the dinner and drumming event has become one of the most diverse, meaningful events in the area. With generous donations of time and money from people like you, we've been able to help Atefeo and more. The next few years provided the seed capital to fund the Shea Butter Project for the Burkina orphans.
Nicole felt it was important for the orphans to have some sort of means for producing revenue.
Using a 3-day process, the orphans pound, boil, and knead the karité nut, producing shea butter, used worldwide in skin lotions. This project has been very successful, allowing the orphans to buy food, clothing, textbooks, as well as vaccinations and health care. Catastrophic flooding across West Africa in 2007 has wiped out their crops of nuts. So, for now, further production must wait. In 2007, proceeds went to the United Methodist Bishops Initiative, which funded the drilling of water wells in the Congo. And another amazing thing happened in 2007. Listen to this.
Yes, I have a dream, I have a vision, like having my own clinic one day and, sitting down and take care of Atefeo children or anybody who cannot afford, health care. I thought about it, I pray about it, but I never really think it's going to happen. Okay, you know what my other dream is?
No, what is it?
My other dream is Oprah. And Oprah, if you see this video one day or you heard about me, I am looking forward meeting you.
Dick Young is an American filmmaker. After a visit to Ethiopia in 2000, he returned with horrifying footage of camps full of displaced, starving people. With the help of friends and volunteers, he began the Danone Project, eventually returning to the area to build a 29-room hospital. This is Jarrett Schechter, a photographer and Danone Project volunteer.
We started with a one-room building and we turned it into a 29-room hospital. We've hired a doctor, a nurse, some technicians. We're all volunteers. We work for free. We give medicines for free.
The Danone Project was looking to expand their efforts into West Africa.
There were suggestions that went back and forth between Catherine and Dick Young, and we settled on 3 areas, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Senegal. And at the end, we picked Burkina Faso because, quite frankly, we got the warmest reception, and we felt that logistically we could make the most progress. When we got to the place where we wanted to establish the clinic, there wasn't a building, there was very little infrastructure, but people volunteered to give up their homes, and quite frankly, that was very touching, and that sort of sealed the decision right then and there.
With the help of Nicole's brother Urbain and local officials, the Danone Project Free Medical Clinic is scheduled to open in Burkina Faso this year. And money raised this year will help fund a poultry project for the Atefeo orphans, improving nutrition and generating revenue, as well as funding scholarships for girls to attend school. Theo Lever, a Little Rock native, began this important project. In a country where education is reserved primarily for males, educating women is an incredible challenge, but it's a key factor in improving the lives of all the Burkina Faso people. Educating women is the single most powerful weapon against malnutrition. How many orphans are managed by Atefeo today?
Today, we limit at 500.
You limit it.
We limit at 500, and we just took those children who are in school. Those orphans are coming from different places. And I explained them what really Atefeo is. It's not, we don't have the house, but we can help you with education. We can help you.
She's experienced more adversity than any of my friends. And yet is the most positive, most spiritual, giving, hardworking person that I've ever met. And she's an inspiration because despite all that she's been through and that she's seen people go through who are dear to her, she has this positive outlook on life and continues to try to help anyone who comes across her path.